Hey coach, this is Coach Simpson. Appreciate you tuning into my YouTube channel. I have not changed jobs again, I promise, but I wanted to rock my Spencerville Bearcats shirt. Coach Summers hooked me up when we went up to Ohio this summer to put in the gun tee and really inspired me. It was such a great experience. I wanted to go through a couple things actually from my first book that he reminded me so much of, because if you've never met the guy, by the way, look up Coach Summers over Spencerville. Possibly the most genuine person I think I've ever met, and really impacted me. And maybe you kind of want to put this shirt on as I talked about some of the things that I know right now as a coach we're not really thinking about, because we're in the heat of it and we're either doing really well and we're chasing that championship, or we're not, and everyone and their mom is on Facebook telling you how bad you are. I mean, one of the two is probably happening, sometimes both, and I've been there and it's tough. So I wanted to use this video to kind of just encourage you guys that are coaching. Hey, if you're in it and you're making a run for a championship, that's great. I got some rings over there and I got some trophies all around here, and they just turned to rust. And so don't lose sight of what's really important if you're 5-0. Okay, if you're 0 whatever and everyone's telling you how dumb you are, I call that the noise. Okay, which basically is everyone knows more than you do, and it's just a tough time. And I've been there too. Don't quit, and don't lose sight of what's important. So I wanted to go through, I thought the best way to do it, this is my first book I wrote, Find a Way, and the back of it I started including these, and I'm trying to include these in all my books from now on, is this mistakes that I've made. I think a lot of times as coaches, we're hesitant sometimes to share mistakes we've made because it's hard to put yourself out there, but I learned a long time ago if it can help somebody else, I wanted to try to do that. So here are 3 mistakes that I list in this book and kind of walk through it. First mistake for me, and a lot of us do this, if you're winning, be careful of this one, all right? It's what you allow to slide, you accept. As a coach, there's a lot of times you see something you know is not right, but maybe that dude's getting you 7 yards of carry, okay, or he's stud for you on Friday night for whatever reason. I'll put the example we had my second year as a head coach in Montgomery. We actually had a really good year that year, but one of my assistant coaches, now the head coach in Montgomery, Michael Summers, great dude, used to call it Miracle Thursdays, because we had a lot of guys that were hurt on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Thursday it just looked like, Lazarus from the dead. They were ready to roll, and they were going to help us win. So I just kind of was easy. Well, that came back to bite us that year 3, where that's a bad culture to build. When you're just allowing that to slide because they can help you win games, it's not a good thing. And it came back to bite me that last year I was at ACA. Second mistake we made was, if we won the game, I felt like I had done a great job as a coach. And if we lost the game, I felt like I was a complete failure as a coach. And the reality is always in between. Okay, I've been conference champion before. I've had a lot of good things that came my way, and I've also had some really rough years. And you have to understand, as a coach, a lot of times the players determine a lot, and you have to watch the film before you start making ideas of what's going on. It's usually never as bad as you thought it was, and it's never as good as you thought it was. So be careful what you say after a game until you've had a chance to go through and look at what's going on. Okay, it can be difficult. To me, I started holding myself to a higher standard than just a scoreboard, because those you're going to win or you're going to lose. Are you doing what's right? And to me, that really turned the culture at Southside when we started kind of being successful. Was we started recognizing, I know we won, but I'm still not happy because we didn't do things right. Or yeah, I know we lost, but guys, I really felt like you gave all you had and you executed what we could do, and I can be okay with either of those, as long as we're doing what we can do and not focused on what other people can do or outside deals. It really helped us a whole lot. And to me, that's how you grow young men, and that's how you grow a program. Ultimately, it does help you win down the road too, those side benefit. But that shouldn't be the main reason you do it. Third mistake was, for me as a head coach, was not understanding why my assistants and players didn't want to put 95 hours a week into the game like I do, because I now do this for a living, and I was a head coach for a long time, so it's in my blood. It's what I do. It's kind of sometimes who I am. You have to understand a lot of times that not everybody in your program is that guy. Actually, very few people in your program are that guy. And there are a couple special places where you may have 15 or 20 of those guys, but most of the time you may have 3 of those. So as a head coach, what I tried to start doing was identifying those guys who, hey, they wanted to be a head coach in the future, or they were the football player that you can tell, you can usually pick them pretty quickly, regardless of talent, that you could tell was ate up with film. And I started learning how to delegate parts of the program to those guys. Okay, now it doesn't mean I let you off the hook if you were an assistant coach who wasn't obsessed with it. But it did mean there are some guys that have a bright future in our sport that want some of those responsibilities so they can grow and learn. And some guys that they're going to be an assistant and that's what they want to do. It's just kind of who they are, and there's a job they've got to do and it's expected to get done, but I'm not going to ask them to do some of this other stuff. I'm going to be careful not to have a Sunday meeting with 15 coaches when only 3 of them really need to be there. And understanding how to make that work, we got to have a group meeting, but we also can do different things. The same thing with your players. Try to identify, okay, the guys that are there. And I put an example on this for players. I can vividly remember getting extremely frustrated. I was young. We had a player who hadn't read the scouting report, comes out to practice Monday, and man, I really let him have it. And he didn't know what he was supposed to do. He should have known what he was supposed to do. That's what we're out here for. And I rip him, and I'm walking off the field for a break. One of my older assistants, I'm glad I had a lot of these good ones, pulls me aside and lets me know that his dad had just lost his job and the kid was taking a new job for bills, and he's dealing with all of this stuff. And I felt about that big. And so a lot of times we have to be careful as coaches that we recognize that some of these people, hopefully all of them, have more important things in football. And that we're making sure that, hey, this is a refuge for you. This is not life and death. This is a refuge for you to come to. We want to be our best we can be. That's what we're trying to mold you to do. We're going to be really careful to understand that not everybody's cut from the same cloth that we are. Those are just 3 mistakes that I made. Again, there's a lot in this book. If you would like to get it, it's on my website, FB Coach Simpson. If money's an issue, you can just comment on this or email me, fbcoachsimpson@gmail.com, and I'll mail you a copy for free. To me, I think that what you guys do as football coaches, or really any other coach, is shaping and molding the next generation of people, which is why I wanted to wear this in honor of Coach Summers. I think that guys like him are going to shape our future, and guys like you who may be watching this video have that same responsibility. And it's a very heavy responsibility, but that's exactly what it is. Appreciate you guys. Best of luck, whether you're 5-0, 0-5, whatever it is. Don't forget, love your players, care for your players, and help them be the best they can be. Thank you.